we're going to start with the picking and packing segment, and Alf Krause with Krause Berry Farms will be talking to us about labor strategies in BC.
Thank you very much for the invite, as well as for the privilege to come and learn. I can give you an example of what we do, not that it's any better or any different than what you do, but this is our farm now. This is our placemat for, we have kind of 3 restaurant areas. I guess I'm talking about branding, so just letting you see this because I will bother putting it up later. But all the parking happens in the on the farm site instead of beside the street, so everybody comes in. And our market is in the middle of our 50-acre farm. We live here, and the rest is offices and market. And the last building there is our new winery, the state winery. All the parking, playgrounds. This is kind of we call it the porch eating area. The winery has an eating area, and we also do eating in the middle. By the 16 there is we call it the KB Corral. So we have kind of a farm horse kind of theme. We don't have any horses left, but my wife loves horses, and so being a farmer, I have to put up with that. The reason that when I grew up on a poultry farm, and we had to collect eggs every single day. So by the time I graduated, none of us wanted to farm because we did not want to do chores every day. So now we just work twice as hard for 6 months of the year, so we won't have to, anyway, we still work all the time anyway. We farm in the Fraser Valley, British Columbia. It's 45 minutes from Vancouver, which is almost 3 million people, kind of like here. So when we started, or what we're growing now, I started growing strawberries when I was quite young, 40 years ago, we'll start next year. And now we grow on 200 acres. We grow strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. We have a few little goji berries and elderberries and honeysuckle and golden raspberries and a few miscellaneous, but we do crop rotation, especially for the strawberries. We do a lot of sweet corn, and we have asparagus and green beans and peas and those kind of things as well. So crop rotation is huge. We're on a sandy loam soil. So we'll just talk about strawberries, and we grow about 20 acres. We harvest 20 acres of June strawberries, so that's a 3-year rotation, so every year we're replacing 10 acres, so a total of 30 acres of June strawberries, and between 15 and 18 acres of Albion. I mean, it's a bit right to it, forget about day neutral, it's Albion or nothing. When Albion finally came on the market, we were at the place where Tom has lots of history, Tom Bauman has lots of history at our farm. He worked on his master's degree when he experimented on our farm, especially on the day neutrals. We started with TriStar, Tribute, Fern, all those varieties, all the way through Selva was the big one for quite a while, and then we went into the D one. Diamante, thank you. And Diamante, and then we finally just got very tired of it and wanted to quit, and then Albion came along. And for us, the biggest thing, and I think it's for all of us, is we have to be unique from California. And the way we have been unique from California is by taste, right? I mean, in the end, it's taste. That's what sells, because the berries taste good. Unfortunately, they don't have the shelf life California has. They don't have the size necessarily that California has. They have the taste. And that's the only thing that can really differentiate, for us anyway, in British Columbia. Our industry has changed. We used to be up to 15 million pounds, same as Oregon. Lots of berries, strawberries for the processing industry. The industry this year will have shipped to the processor 300,000 pounds. So, I mean, it's nothing. It's huge. And so, what are we going to do? And We saw the writing on the wall in the 70s already. We were trying to get out of it. From 100% processing, we are at 0% that goes to the processor of the close to 40 acres of strawberries we grow. And we are almost half and half. Our day neutrals, we're in a three-year cycle on the June berry, right? 2-year harvesting. On the day neutrals, Albion, we are on a 2-year cycle, usually, or 2.5 year. We do some fall planting as well, but most of it is in the spring. And our fall planting actually is summer planting. We plant in beginning of August. We're trying to get a biggest crown we can get for the following year. I think the way to go in that whole area is going to plug plants when you're doing late summer, fall planting. I think plug plants would be great. We just don't have a provider in our area for that yet. So when we started selling strawberries, 100% went to the packer, now 0. But what do we do with the strawberries? Because we cannot sell all of those strawberries at peak June season. So that's what we do. We sell 65% of all our product off the farm site. So about 30% gets wholesaled. And so it goes from wholesale fresh strawberries to picked berries, to you-picked berries, to frozen IQF. We freeze bulk and we freeze juice now as well, or juiced berries. We make a lot of pies. We make a lot of milkshakes. We make a lot of waffles with fresh strawberries on them. We make a fantastic strawberry pie with about 3 pounds of berries on it. So we're looking at ways to use the fresh berries many, many ways. Our sort outs are either garbage, because there's no money in juice grade processor. We don't waste our time with that. We don't think that it's worthwhile. But we will use our bulk. We'll do our sort outs that are kind of bulk grade versus a juice grade, and we will pale them and we use them on our, we sell a lot of strawberry milkshakes. So it works good for that, or baked pies. And preserves, milkshakes, we do ice cream. We do berry flavored ice cream with our berries. We do shortcake. We do donuts. We put berry chunks in. We do flavored popcorn that has berry flavor. So you get the idea. Everything berries. Whatever we can figure out to do with berries is kind of what our theme has been. And our latest addition has been a state winery. We have a fruit winery. And you can use a lot of berries in wine. We have a, 3,000 liter tank, however many gallons that is, and basically that tank takes an acre of strawberries, or acre of berries, so you can do the math. It took me a while to figure that part out, but I finally did. So, June strawberries, and the hard part about June strawberries is it always rains in June for us, but also they tend to be dirty because it's raining. And then the everbearing, or the day neutral strawberries, those are the 2 things we work on. Variety, maybe quickly, we grow Puget Reliance and a variety called Clancy, which is about a week to 10 days later than Puget Reliance. Clancy comes from New York. We just like probably most of you, we trial and trial and trial, and we'll take everything from the east and Oregon and Washington and what we have in our programs and keep trying to find something fresh, right? So much of our program in British Columbia was for processed strawberries, and as you know, there's no processed strawberry happening anymore, so that research hasn't been helpful for quite a while. We're looking for something that is fresh, presentable, and what we're seeing is we start picking strawberries mid-May or end of May, depending again on the year. The day neutrals, second year day neutrals will start early. And then we go into our Pugets. All our U-pick is Puget Reliance at this point. And then we go into Clancy, which is and the Albion are fading by then. And now we basically have a 2-week window where there are no strawberries, somewhere in the middle of July. And then our new planting of Albion, which were planted in beginning of April, is when we can get them in the ground and get going. And then every year is different again, but mid-July to the end of July is when they start taking off. And then we go into our harvest season. There is a bit of a gap. The downside of having day neutral strawberries, you're picking every day. And especially if you're doing fresh market. I mean, we need to have fresh berries every day. So we're picking strawberries every day from the end of May to the beginning of September. So it is completely different than what we're used to in the June stuff. So I don't know how many of you are doing day neutral strawberries, but I mean, you get that, right? It's changed everything. Now it's like collecting eggs every day. Oh. I wanted to get away from it, and that's where I am now. Yeah. Hmm?
You collect eggs twice a day.
Yes, I know. The old days, when I was young, when we came home from school, first thing. And so our season is longer, and we sell. We get a lot of people to our farm. About 200,000 people will come in 4 months. So part of that, and then I guess I'm talking about branding, so I'll leave that for now. That's the other part. Once we start picking, it's continual. We have done strawberries in tunnels. We have 6 acres of indoor tunnels that we use, but right now most of it is wood full of fall raspberries or evergreen raspberries, because when you saw Tom Walter's little thing, the yields weren't that much difference for the, right? On your thing, it didn't show. So if you're looking for a segment when you need berries, that's a different thing than if you're looking for, what we found is 1 out of 4 years the tunnel really helped, but other than that, so you've got to figure out is that, but we're putting some in the tunnels again this year, so we'll see what happens. They're there. So it is important. Picking, we don't use the carts. We used to way back. We use our little handles, and then so we're picking in depending on what kind of baskets we're using. And what we find in our marketplace is the consumer wants to be able to recognize these as local berries versus California. And so packaging is an ongoing struggle to find something. Water does not work very good with cardboard, but it looks rustic, and we sell a fair bit of strawberries to Whole Foods, and they don't want to see anything plastic because that's not organic, and we're not organic, but it's not farmy, it's not local. So we're struggling with ways of dealing with it. We do a 1 pound clamshell, but only for our day neutrals. Not the June stuff is not like that at all. So this is what we use, and then from there we pick into. We'll be putting those baskets into our flats and shipped out that way. So our picking systems are completely different for our June berries versus our day neutrals. The biggest difference is our day neutrals are picked by the hour, and our June stuff is all still piecework. And so what we've done for food safety, they have the flat, but we just put a plastic container underneath. It helps us in 2 ways. It keeps the flat clean. Sometimes we will also, I don't know if you can see it, we'll use the processor plastic flats, especially when it's raining and wet. We want to be able to cover, so then we can flip it and use the other cover on top to try to keep everything dry, right? It's not like picking processed berries. You're trying to keep stuff dry, and then some of the wholesalers want organic looking or fiber board, so everything's getting wet, so you're throwing away board as you're repacking it. So wherever possible, if it's a misty day, at least we can keep things dry and food safe, clean, and so that's. We have an Indo-Canadian group that picks a lot of our berries, and they love to bring 3 or 4 or 5 flats, and cardboard doesn't matter what, doesn't want to bend, so we bring out plastic flats. At least they can put that on their head and not have the flats going down like this. So different things. Everybody's got their ideas of what, but trying to keep the berries clean, trying to keep dirt off, and then everything is on trailers and full of empties or full flats. The biggest thing we find is that now that we've started day neutral strawberries, the demand for them is growing steadily. People don't want June strawberries much anymore, because not because of the flavor, but because the day neutrals on plastic just look way better. You know, they're clean, they're shiny, and clean and shiny. I mean, we get rain all the time. Every morning, I mean, we're out in the fields at 6 in the morning, so if it's not raining, there's too much dew, and they're getting dirty. So it's that constant thing. So my sense is that we're going to be going more and more towards day neutral. There is this big surge in June for everybody that wants to do all their canning and everything, and it's a great way to start the summer. But and that's where we're struggling with our day neutral strawberries start before the June, right? Your second season, and the consumer is getting a little confused when is strawberry season, because April is California strawberry season up in Canada, and I mean they're just bombarding us with fresh strawberries and cheap and stuff. So people are very confused when is actually local strawberry season, and we're confusing them more now because we have strawberries all the way from end of May to Canadian Thanksgiving, and sometimes even to the end of October. So, you know, they're getting a little mixed messages, but for us it's very important to be able to have that whole season. So back to how we pick strawberries. The June strawberries, we pay piece rate. We're very used to picking for the processors, so you go in and you pick everything off and put it in the flat. So if you're trying to do fresh market, what do you do with the berries that shouldn't be in flat? Is ongoing struggle. So those ones generally don't get picked, and we hope that within the 3-week period it doesn't create mold issues and stuff, right? I mean, you don't want to be picking small garbagey berries for fresh market, and you don't want to be paying them hourly. So how do you control that whole thing? So for us, we pay piece rate for the June strawberries. We pay hourly for the day neutrals, and the reason we do that for the day neutrals is because we're having them throw away 10, 15, 20, 30, 40% into the rows when it's not good quality. California will throw them away and then they'll cultivate, but we don't go to that process. I don't have guys that can drive straight enough to not keep wrecking all my plastic. But so it's two different systems and 2 different approaches, and it's been hard going to hourly wage for us because our pickers tend to be older than me, almost all of them, you know. So it's hard work, and trying to control quality is the hardest thing. So we just found quality control is a lot easier with going to hourly. So I'm sure probably most of them in California, they have those beautiful rigs, those big yellow machines that just drive, and the people put their flats on it and it stacks them, and the machine is 20 rows wide, and it gets to the end and it's articulated, and I mean it's just amazing. This is my machine. It's 2 rows, it gets pushed by 1 person. And so what we do with our day neutrals is we have a grouping of 8 guys, or 8 pickers, plus 1 to 2 handlers. The handler pushing the cart and keeping the containers and everything going for our pickers. So the pickers are in front, and he's behind grabbing baskets that are full, putting them in quality control. And so we're working this grouping as a whole, and then working bonuses that way. So there's an hourly wage, and then working on bonuses per group of guys or ladies, whoever's doing it. And because you still want to have some way of controlling quality and also picking efficiently. And the other thing with the day neutral strawberries, as you know, is the berries are beautiful and huge, but very far between to start the picking, and then you get to your high end. So it's really hard to do piece rate when they're only getting, you know, very limited amount of berries, but they've got to come off, and they're so beautiful, to where you're halfway or 2 weeks into the season, and yes, they're picking 40, 50 pounds easily in an hour. So the only way we figured it out, and I'm very open for any suggestions as well from you, how to do it. So this is our automated, semi-automated version. Our rows are all around 300 feet long, and so we've made it work that we can, you know, bicycle wheels, it does hold quite a lot, and made it sure counterweighted that one guy can push it quite easily down the row, end of the row, empty off the berries, put the new flats on, and the 8 pickers just keep going, right, while this person is loading and unloading into one of the reefers, and either we have the reefers in the field or going out to distributing berries. The way we keep track of our allocations of everything is we use mobile farmware piece worker scanners. So we've got scanners, and this system has worked well. Our whole field is divided into segments, and so we will scan whatever that whatever number 10A is. There's a scan for it, so we scan that when we go to that field, and then every picker has a barcode labeled on them, picker number 161, and so we can control what they pick if it's piece rate, or we can go to hourly for that grouping, and we can food safety and also control as well as yield analysis of the fields that we're in. That's it. Any questions?
So your labor is mostly domestic?
We have 10 Mexican guys that we bring in with our seasonal agricultural worker program. So what that entails is we fly them in from Mexico City, we house them, and we get $50 a month for housing, and they look after their own food, and we take them to market once every 2 weeks, and they look after that part. But we pay the whole flight, and we basically pay the whole housing. And we pay them BC minimum, $10.35 an hour, Canadian. So it's a lot cheaper for you.
And how many people do you have total for labor? Usually
We for harvesters, we have about 80, and then we have another 120 that help us with everything else. So in the peak of the season, we're close to 200 people running our operations. A lot of high school and university people. And our focus has been to not rely on the processors. So right now we have about 30,000 pounds of frozen strawberries in storage at the cold storage, which we will be using for either its IQF or its juice grade that we'll be using for the wine, or its bulk for the pies that we make and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
IQF, what are you doing with your IQF berries?
How we're doing it, or what we're doing?
Are you marketing them?
We're selling it on our farm, and every year it's about 30% increase in sales. It's really taking off. So we've got in our market is a whole wall of freezers. It's half full of pies, all the different kind of berry pies and apple pie and stuff. And then we also have a whole section of IQF berries that we tray freeze. And strawberries, yeah, that's the most work, right? They've got to be washed. The day neutrals don't need much washing because they're generally clean, but our pickers will usually only pick for fresh. In other words, they've got the stems on, and then if it's raining or so the sales slow down or whatever, we'll divert it the next day and make them IQF or bulk if we have to. But we try to make it IQF as much as possible. But that market is growing, and we tray freeze, and so our quality is a lot better than the guys who have the beautiful tunnels most of the time. But again, we're working on quality is kind of the key to we believe, to success. Yeah.
How do people hear about you? What's
We're
your
talking about
marketing?
later.
Oh, is that later?
Okay, so
See, I
ready
already
to
know my
something.
own program.
I'm supposed to talk again, so
Okay.
or we can do
It's a
more
secret
questions.
for us.
What made you decide to put in a winery? I mean, that's a really expensive investment.
I hated going up. No, it's That's a good question, and we for 35 years said we weren't going to do a winery. Didn't matter. But there was a fruit winery 5 miles away who were going into transition and selling out and stuff. And one of the key guys was looking for work. And because, I mean, they only want berries up to lunchtime or however far you can push them, right? Until they've got what they need. And then you've got to resupply your wholesale, your market with berries again. And then we also pick for the next morning. So we have something to start with because we get a major rush always in the morning. Everybody wants berries in the morning. And then if the day is, we're on a 3 to 4 day rotation on our berries, so our fields. So I mean, we've got to get through them if you want quality, right? It's not jam berries anymore. It's trying to get quality. And so we're on a tight rotation, as tight as we can be. And when you're behind, okay, well then you can make a decision. We're going to pick for bulk, you know, and destem that field or leave that field tomorrow, and hopefully we can clean it up tomorrow to keep that cycle going. Or you got to take a field out of that cycle, right? And it's just going to be bulk or jam or juice because you don't want to get behind.
So you're processing and freezing your own berries
Yeah.
on your own farmland?
Yeah.
Got your own lines in it?
Yeah. We don't have much of a line. We're small. You know, so I mean, it's a lot of, we've got a flat washer, a dumper, and a washer for the strawberries. The raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries are a lot easier that way.
Does your building have to be certified with the airfoils on it? Is it a process certified building? Sorry.
We have Canada Gap Food Safe,
Okay.
and it fits into that. And we do have curtains in there to try to keep it cool and stuff. Yeah, I mean, we do all of those things. Thanks.